Hello, dear friends. I'm Professor M. Masum Raza, Department of Library Information Science, AMU Aligarh. So, we are discussing circulation section. In the previous lecture, I told you the activities of circulation section, all the work circulation works, right from registration of members to interlibrary loan. That we have seen it is taking up so many tasks which are normally not known to any user. User only know the circulation section by issue and return. That's all. But when we go through the process, we can see that the circulation section is basically the heart of the library from the user's angle. Because we know the technical processing is basically the toughest task. Acquiring technically processing it and making the documents ready for use. That's one way. But the user understands that the circulation section is of utmost importance. Reason being, they are only in touch with the circulation section, and this is the only section which comes in direct contact with the user, because the acquisition section doesn't come in contact. This technical processing section doesn't come in contact directly with the user. Only the circulation section comes in direct contact with the user. So probably this circulation reference, these sections used for user, that is utmost important. So the user also understand only one activity, that it is meant for issue and return. That's all. And whenever you have to take the new dues, then it will be useful. Whenever they have to collect the new dues from the libraries, they straight away go to the circulation, get the new dues, and just leave from there. But it is not exclusively. It is just the registration and loaning, and then getting the new dues. The circulation is doing a lot of work that we have seen it right from the registration to the loaning process, and how the loaning, because the loaning is something very important here, and loaning is not possible unless the section maintains the records of the borrower, records of all the members. So because right in the beginning I told you this activity starts with registration of members. So basic activity of registration, that is just to know who your users are, from which part they are coming, what their interest is. Got it? So basically, when they do registration, it is the library is trying to understand their users. The library is trying to know more closely all their users. So when they have a permanent record, when they have the complete address profile of the user, then through their profile, a library can read it, what exactly they need, what type of collection they require, what interests they are having, what are their hobbies, in which area they are interested, and this is how they try to build up the collection also. So more important is the circulation when they do the issue, means right from this registration of members, the next prominent activity is the loaning process. So loaning records also becomes very a record which is very crucial, because it shows how much your library is being used, which collection is being maximally utilized, and which collection is not being touched at all. So if something is not being touched, something is not being used, so try to promote those collections, because you have to find the ways and means and identify the collection which is not being used, or which is not in the focus right now. So either you make a list of all those collections which are not being used or which have not been circulated in the whole year. You make a list of it, try to contact the teachers, try to contact the department, or try to give it more popularity among the users, especially the users those who are coming from that discipline, or the users those who are coming from that subject. This is how you can popularize the titles which are not being used by the students or the researchers or the faculty members. So all these things are only possible when you minutely study the statistics and records of the circulation section. So most prominent thing is, I'll just in this lecture I'll explain the loaning systems, what all systems had been available for issue and return, because the circulation section, it has evolved to a great extent. This whole library has evolved. For that matter, whole library has evolved. There was a primitive time when the library was not accessible to everyone. It was only accessible to few people, and the whole collection was in the lock and keys. From slowly, gradually, we can see how the printing press evolved, and how the technology evolved, and how the publishing industry evolved, and then cost also diminished. when the cost diminished, it became more accessible. And when the books became more accessible, a lot of people started reading it. They started enjoying the facilities of the library. And the libraries, they were also, the primitive libraries especially, when you see, it was just giving you the appearance of a bookstore, means where all the books were housed and they were kept in lock and keys. Slowly, gradually, we felt the need that okay, there should be some reading space also. So for that matter, reading space was created in the libraries. And now, whenever you find the libraries, you find multiple floors are there, and you have a lot of reading space. You have a space for holding your collections also, and you have a space for accommodating your users also, because that is more important, that the users should be accommodated at any cost. And once the users are accommodated, they can have access to the rare collections, they can have access to textbooks, they can have access to thesis, they can have access to manuscripts, they can have access to reference collections. So all these things are only possible when they have place to sit, place to move around, place to just move around the gangways, move around the stack area. And if you don't allow the users to move around the stack area, don't allow them to sit and study, then your library collection cannot be utilized. So just a passing reference, I'll let you know in details. So in this lecture, we'll be discussing, I'll be simply introducing the concept, why this learning process, what are the learning different processes, and why we came to the learning process. Earlier, what was the system, primitive system, and how we started with the learning system. And then we will discuss some of the issue systems, means charging discharging systems or issue and return systems, which is a common term for most of the people is issue and return. Charging discharging is another term. I told you another synonymous term is check out and check in. So these are some of the terminologies, and we'll be discussing some of the systems which evolved with the passage of time. So this whole thing, more commonly known as charging and discharging. So this charging and discharging method in the libraries have evolved over time to accommodate the needs and preferences of the readers. And originally, books were considered valuable and scarce commodity, primarily accessible to the privileged few due to their high prices and limited availability, as I told you. However, with the advent of printing press and the spread of education, the accessibility of books expanded, leading to the need for efficient method of issuing and returning books to meet the growing demand. In the past, books were few in number, so expensive and difficult to produce, leading to limited access and stringent preservation measures. Books were considered valuable property and were kept under lock and key in heavily guarded safes or cabinets. And access to books were restricted, and only a select few individuals were allowed to borrow them, often under strict supervision. There was little emphasis on providing facilities for reading within the library premises, as the primary focus was on the preservation rather than access. So with the invention of printing press, the whole thing revolutionized and the production of books, making them more affordable and accessible to the wider audience. And with the spread of education and the rise of democracy and liberalism, there was a growing interest in books and the literacy among the masses. So libraries began to emerge as institutions for public education and enlightenment, so leading to increased demand for borrowing books for home reading. The establishment of public libraries and the enactment of legislation, such as Public Libraries Act in England in 1850, facilitated free access to books for all the members of the community. The commercial subscriptions and the low-cost lending libraries also played a significant role in promoting home reading by making books more affordable and accessible to the general public. So the lack of proper sitting arrangements in some of the libraries, which resembled more like bookshops, further encouraged the practice of borrowing books for home reading rather than reading the books within the library premises. So as we have discussed, we will be discussing these systems: the register system, card system, machine system, photographic system, audio, and then other systems which can include your automated charging system, automated charging and discharging systems, especially in the automated libraries. And in the register system, we'll be discussing the daybook system. And the daybook system is a very primitive system. Normally, you must have seen shopkeepers doing this. So the complete day's transactions are recorded on a particular page under certain columns. What they are selling, for how much they are selling, all those things can be recorded on one page. One page basically shows the transaction of a day. So thus they will put the date, and then all the transactions will be recorded on one page. So that used to be called as a daybook system. So similar system we used to have for the libraries also. You can see the columns here. The date is here and the name of the borrower, means complete address of the name and address of the borrower is here, then particulars of the book, and then remark. You are giving it for 7 days, 15 days. So that remark can be given here. So that all the transactions are recorded on one page. This is very particular about this system. So you can see this was simple and efficient. There is no problem with the system because the number of users were less. So you can practice this. If just suppose 50 members are there and 50 users are coming to your library on an average, on a daily basis. So the 50 people, the record can be maintained on a single page. Why to have a cumbersome process, whether to go for the automation or to have a system, card system, or to have any other kind of system? All these things were recorded on a simple page of a register. And but it is only possible for limited number of users, and the moment the number of users grow, then probably the system will be of no use. So basically this daybook system is an early method of recording the library transactions and emerged alongside the growth of public library movement. In this system, all the library transactions for a given day were recorded on a single register. So this was the thing. The purpose of the daybook was to provide a simple and immediate record of transaction to prevent oversight or omissions. So how it worked was recording the transaction. Each day, the library staff would record all the transactions that occurred, including books borrowed by the patrons, return, renewal, or any other relevant activities. And these records were maintained in a single register designated as daybook. As I told you, this is simple and efficient. The daybook offered a straightforward and efficient way to track daily library activities. With a small number of borrowers in the early days of the library operations, this system was considered sufficient to manage transactions without the need for more complex record keeping method. So this is feasible only for the limited borrowers. As I told you, the moment the number of borrowers grow, this system will not be feasible. In the early implementation of this daybook system, the detailed information about the individual borrowers and borrowed items may have to be recorded. Means here the most cumbersome process is writing the details of the user and the details of the document. So that will take a lot of time. Because in the card system, we have seen 2 cards automatically that is prepared either by the circulation or by the technical section. The technical section is preparing book card and the circulation section is preparing the reader's ticket. It becomes feasible that both the things are ready. But in this process, here nothing is ready. User will come with the document and the complete information of the borrower you will be recording on that page in a particular column, and then the complete information of the document also will be recorded on a particular column. And then you, in a remark, you will mark it whether you are giving it for a 1 week or for 15 days or for a month. That also you will put under remark. So this is cumbersome in itself, that if just suppose 50 users are standing and you have to write down the name and address of the borrower and then the particulars of the document, how much time it is going to take. And if just imagine one person, same person wants 2 or 3 books at a time. So you have to record all information give the complete details of all these 4 documents. So just imagine the people standing in the queue, how much time they will be taking. And it becomes frustrating when you are standing in a queue. Because again, the question of objectivity and subjectivity comes here. Even if objectively you are standing for 15 minutes, but sometimes subjectively you feel that, okay, you had wasted about half an hour. So once a user becomes frustrated, they stop coming to the libraries. So we have to avoid all those activities also. And then post-recording process, this is similar to how the basically the shopkeepers or the post transactions from the day book into a ledger for individual customer's account. So what can be done is on a day's transaction can be recorded, and then later on you can have an individual account for every user, and this everything, all the transaction records of the transaction can be shifted from the day account to a ledger system, where every individual will be given one page, and the complete transaction of the user which of a particular day will be shifted to the ledger system. So means it is just repeating the whole process again and again. So the data will be transferred from the day book into the more detailed record or the borrower's account, especially as library operations and patterns number grow. So these are these are the intricacies which are involved in this day book system. So how the system evolved, later on this moved to ledger system. A ledger system was a bit more systematic here. So because ledger is also somewhat similar to that, because both the system falls under register system. This ledger system is also a kind of register system, but here at least for every member a page will be designated. You will make index in the beginning and you can designate a particular page for every member, and the complete transaction of the member will be recorded on one page. The major drawback of the day book system was also that just suppose any member is restricted for 2 books, 3 books, but you cannot stop it because you are not counting it. Just suppose every alternate day if a user comes and gets 2 document issued, you will issue it. Second day or third day or maybe after a week again he comes with the 2 books, you will again issue those 2 books also. So you are not able to keep a check how to restrict it, how to stop it, because unless you just turn all the pages and check that okay, such and such person has only taken 2 books, then only 2 more can be issued. There is no control over it. But the thing is, when you have a ledger system and the complete transactions of issue and return are maintained on a particular page, when you are maintaining the complete record on a particular page, it becomes easy to see that this member right now is having 3 books, 4 books, he is entitled for 6, so he can be given 3, or if he is entitled for 3 books, so he should not be given more than 3 books. But in the day book system, what was happening is if the user is entitled for 3 books and he comes in a week, every time he gets 2 books issued, so he can get 6 also, he can get 10 also, because you don't have any control or you don't have any mechanism to stop him. But in case of ledger system, when the record is shifted on one page, the complete issue and return is shown on one page. So at least you can keep a check that this user is authorized for 3 books, only 3 books can be issued at a time, not more than 3. So this was the beauty of this ledger system. And when we switched from day book to a ledger system, ledger system is a bit more comprehensive, and because the day book system you can manage with a small number of users, but even in ledger system if you have 100 users, then at least 100 users or 150 users you can maintain. 150 users can be maintained easily with the help of a ledger system. So what happens here is the transfer of transactions in the ledger system, the daily transactions recorded in the day book are transferred to the ledger, or individually you can straightaway go to the ledger and you can maintain the record on the ledger also. And this transfer basically consolidates the transaction data and allows for more organized and systematic record keeping. So we have a ledger format here. So this ledger consists of numbered pages with 1 page allotted to each borrower, and the allocation facilities, the tracking of individual borrowers' transactions, and simplifies the management of the borrower's account. And what are the columns here? You can see the columns especially in the ledger is the borrower information is here, then book details are there, and dates of transactions are there, then fines or fees, and then remark. These all are the columns which need to be filled up in the ledger system. So organization is quite easy here. The ledger is organized in a systematic manner with entries arranged chronologically or according to the borrower's name or account. So this organization facilitates easy retrieval and reference of the borrower information and transaction history. Then manual maintenance is there. Like the day book, the ledger system is typically maintained manually with entries made by hand by library staff. However, the use of ledger allows for more detailed and structured record keeping compared to the simpler daybook method. You can see the specimen of the ledger system here, where you have name of the borrower, address, date of issue, accession number, author, title, signature of the borrower, and then due date and date of return. All these things are maintained in the ledger system. As a pattern, number of users started growing in the library. The system evolved, and when the system evolved, it was not feasible by the register system. Then the new system came up that was called as card system. We started using cards. So initially we started with one card. So the evolution of library circulation system led to the development of one card system, basically. And this represented a significant improvement over the earlier methods, such as dummy system or the temporary slip system. So how this one card system was working, basically, instead of preparing the temporary slips for each and every book, then libraries began issuing permanent slips or the book cards. And each book borrowed from the library was assigned a dedicated book card. So in the modern book card especially serves as a permanent record of the loan, containing essential information about the borrowed books, such as its title, author, call number, and borrower's details. And these cards were made of durable material such as tough paper to withstand wear and tear, ensuring longevity and reliability. So this also led to the improved record keeping. With the one card system, the libraries could keep better track of borrowed books and their associated borrowers, and each book card served as a comprehensive record of the loan, facilitating easy retrieval and reference when needed. Then it led to the enhanced convenience also. Means every time you don't have to write all the details in the ledger. So the one card system provided added convenience for both the library staff and patrons. Borrowers no longer needed to fill out the temporary slips for each transactions, streamlining the borrowing process. Library staff benefited from the improved efficiency and accuracy of record keeping afforded by the permanent book cards. And then the transition, this especially the transition to the book one card system, saved time and resources for both the readers and the library staff. The system eliminated the need for duplicate record keeping and reduced the risk of errors associated with the manual data entry. So then from one card, we moved to the two card system. So the two card system, basically, it was started by Nina E. Brown, but I'll just let you know what are the essential things here in the two card system. Basically, it represented a significant advancement in the library circulation method and addressing the challenges posed by increasing number of library users. Ultimately, when the library users are growing, they are all in hurry, they come to the library for issue and return, they don't want to waste time, they don't want to stand in queue. So you have to find some alternative method how to entertain them, and that too without wastage of their time, because their time is more valuable, because the students and faculty, they are not in habit of standing in the queue. And once they have to stand in the queue, I told you the question of objective and subjective time comes in. And even if they stand for 10-15 minutes, they'll say we have wasted about half an hour. So they cannot afford to miss any class and come to the library for this purpose. So we have to devise a system which is more efficient, more fast, more accurate. So we started with the two card system. So the two card system was very beneficial. Let me explain you what this two card is. So basically, introduction of the identity card. This led to the introduction of identity card. As the library grew in popularity, the readers' interest increased. So librarians basically recognized the need for proper identification of both borrower and books. So identity cards for library patrons were introduced to ensure proper identification of the borrowers. So what are these two cards basically? This two cards involve issuing two separate cards for each book loan transaction, one for the book and one for the borrower. There should be two cards, one for the books and one for the borrower. Both should be ready. Means the library staff, they don't have to scribble everything in front of the user. When the user is standing to get the document issued and the library staff is scribbling everything in front of him, So that is not required. So the book card will be prepared by the technical section, and the reader's ticket will be, or reader's card will be prepared by the circulation section. Both the things will be ready. So each book borrowed from the library was assigned a dedicated book card, while each library patron was provided with the identity card. So this introduction of these two card systems reflected a growing awareness of the library efficiency and the need to provide the prompt and effective service to the library patrons. So librarians sought to save the time of the readers and prevent inefficiencies, especially that could deter the reader from using the library services. So librarians recognize the importance of adopting the business methods and providing prompt service to the library users, especially similar to how the business strives to serve their customer efficiently. So this two-card system aimed to streamline circulation process and enhanced customer satisfaction. So the innovation was like this was done by Miss Nina E. Brown, developed a new charging system, and that was called as Brownie charging system. It was just after her name only, Miss Nina E. Brown. So this was called as Brown charging system to simplify record keeping and eliminate unnecessary paperwork. However, system like the New York system, which utilized two cards with the necessary modifications, that also we'll discuss. New York system, that was just similar to Brown but with the modification of Brown. So that also we will take up in the card system. To ensure this modification was done to ensure the maintenance of permanent record, which gained popularity for their efficiency in the larger libraries. So one more advantage of this two card is preference in the different libraries, where the Brown system was favored by some libraries for its simplicity and minimal record keeping requirements. The larger libraries, particularly university libraries, preferred New York system for its ability to maintain permanent records effectively. So in the next lecture, I'll tell you the details, all the nitty-gritties of the Brown system and the New York system, how New York was preferred by the university libraries and why the Brown system was preferred by the public libraries. With here at least very less record keeping is there, whereas in New York you have a permanent record keeping is there, permanent record maintenance is there, record management is there. So in the next lecture we'll be discussing these two systems in detail. Thank you very much.